Hey guys, welcome back to some more reviews. I'm HorrorBoy45, aka Nate Murphy, the Explorer of Horror here. Welcome back to some more reviews. And of course, today we're getting to The Week of the Dead, Season 2. Of course, we're reviewing for Episode 1, Return of the Living Dead. Now, it's a little ironic that I'm reviewing this because, it's the Return of the Week of the Dead, I'm reviewing the Return of the Living Dead. But I figured I'd kick this series off with a classic, and of course that is Return of the Living Dead. Now, Return of the Living Dead is an awesome zombie movie. I absolutely love this movie. Although I'm much more of a fan of the different DVD with the cool looking poster. This poster kind of sucks, honestly. I mean, it's a little too green. Just did not fit the movie, in my opinion. This cover just doesn't work. I wish they would have just used the old school poster, or heck, maybe if they could have just used that poster up there that I got, not the poster, but pretty much that. I think it was like glued or something to the front of this, which I should have kept it glued, but it just looked weird. But if they would have had that custom made artwork, if you guys can see, it's probably very hard to see, but if they could put that on here, then that'd be awesome, man, because I actually like that more than this. This is just some, in my opinion, lazy artwork with just too much green. But before I get into the movie, let's talk about the special features. You get an audio commentary with the cast and crew and undead, which means that there's some zombies in there. I believe it's actually the Tar Man zombie, if I'm not mistaken. But good commentary so far. I think I made it through halfway of the movie, the commentary. Pretty decent commentary. You also get an audio commentary with director Dan O'Bannon and production designer William Stout. You've also got a really cool feature called the Decade of Darkness featurette, and that's really cool because it goes through all the horror movies of the 80s and talks about how how horror films sort of started to die off in the early 90s, and then Scream came out and revived the horror genre. Really cool documentary, and I'd say just featurette, but it's still really cool. I mean, you got if I can say her name, I'm gonna try and say her name without butchering it, but Evla, Queen of the Darkness. Yeah, she's pretty much is the host of it. I probably just butchered her name, but I never can say her name right. I wish I could, but I always mess it up. But I know it has Olivera, Queen of Darkness in there. She did a good job being the host. A lot of fun. Talk about movies such as The Brood, Hotel Hell, it was Motel Hell. I can't remember if it was Motel or Hotel Hell, but talk about that movie. Talk about Friday the 13th, Halloween. Talk about a lot of classics in there. Really good featurette. And of course, you've got in Return of the Living Dead, The Dead Have Risen featurette. Really cool. Although I prefer that documentary More Brains. I've seen it on YouTube. That was actually really fun as well. You've also got a cool feature called Zombie Subtitles for the film. So pretty much you get subtitles for what the zombies are saying. That's pretty cool. It was pretty funny, some of the stuff they put in there. And they've also got Designing the Dead featurette. So yeah, it's pretty loaded in features. If you guys can see that. Got a lot of features in there. And I mean, Return of the Living Dead. Of course, you got Dan O'Bannon directing this movie. Of course, Dan O'Bannon's been known for a lot of movies such as Alien. I believe he wrote that movie. And Dan O'Bannon really didn't go on to direct much. He would just direct this movie, I think, one other film, and that's it. And that's really a shame because he did a good job in this movie, Dan O'Bannon. It's kind of like William Peter Blatty when he did The Exorcist 3. He only did 2 movies. I think William Peter Blatty did an excellent job in The Exorcist 3. The mood, the acting, I really enjoyed Exorcist 3. Actually, I'm a huge fan of Exorcist 3. I can honestly say that. I love Exorcist 3. I also love this movie. And Dan O'Bannon did a good job directing this. I mean, you got the classic, total 80s look with the music, got a bunch of punk rockers out there, pretty much in a graveyard. Has a good look to the movie, a good vibe. Fun vibe, just a fun time to watch this movie. When you sit down to watch Return of the Living Dead, you just get ready to have the most fun time of your life watching a zombie movie. And just it's just well made, and it's an absolute classic. And it gets a 7.3 on IMDb. Directed by Daniel Ban, like I said. And pretty much the story behind this movie was that originally George A. Romero had the rights to, well, I believe not George Romero. It was the guy who was involved with Night of the Living Dead. And try to get the writer's name up here. It was, hang on, I have to get on the Night of the Living Dead page here. Forgot his name. It was John A. Russo, and pretty much he owned the rights to the Living Dead name. And George Romero ended up getting the rights to The Dead. So that's why Dawn of the Dead is not called Dawn of the Living Dead, it's called Dawn of the Dead. That's why Day of the Dead is called Day of the Dead, not Day of the Living Dead, which I'm actually glad they're not Day of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Living Dead. Even though they don't sound that bad, but I think Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead just have good rings to them. But pretty much he got the rights to the Living Dead movies. The writer of Night of the Living Dead, John A. Russo, he got the rights to the Living Dead movies, and he was going to make a different movie called Return of the Living Dead. And something happened with the script, couldn't get funding or something like that. Something happened to where it couldn't get made. Then the script sort of floated around for a while, and then Dan O'Bannon picked it up. And they actually got Dan O'Bannon to direct the movie. And of course, John Russo had also helped write the movie, as well as Rudy Rickey with the story as well. And pretty much they collabed and decided to make a very fun zombie movie that, in a sense, was Return to the Living Dead name. And so, of course, they made Return of the Living Dead. And they was going to make this movie not to be so serious. It was going to be a fun time. And they made it exactly that. It's just a fun time to watch this movie. And the story is very basic. I mean, you start off with these two employees at a medical supply warehouse. They're going through this stuff. They go down in the basement. They find this barrel of trioxin. They kick it. And it's very funny because the guy's like, hey, can this break? He's like, no, this is made by the army. Kicks it. The gas sprays in his face, and he gets all sick and stuff like that. It was just a funny scene. And I'll talk about some of the comedy scenes in a second. But I wanted to get the story, out of the way. And pretty much this gas gets out of the warehouse, goes and pretty much floats up to this freezer, and it reanimates a corpse. They have to find out what they're going to do. They call the boss over with Clu Gulager from Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Feast, and I really can't remember what else. I know he's in a bunch of westerns as well. He pretty much comes over as the boss. He, gets a pickaxe, and they make a plan to where the zombie comes out. They hit on the ground, takes a pickaxe, and boom, in the head. Cool thing about this movie, though, is that it invented the brains. A lot of times, especially nowadays, you hear zombies, they always say brains. Well, that came from this movie. And this movie sort of invented that, I don't want to say cliche, but, that stereotypical zombie theme with the whole brains, it's from this movie, and that's why so many zombies nowadays say brains, because of Return of the Living Dead. And in this movie, it's a lot different. These zombies have personality, they can talk, they can run in this movie. I believe this was the first zombie movie where they were running. And a lot of new stuff came from this movie. You had smart zombies who could talk and say brains, who could run, and this was the first movie to do that. I believe so. I believe this was the first movie to do that. And you pretty much got the fact they can't just shoot these zombies in the head. It's actually a very creepy idea, because you can't kill these zombies. No matter what you do, you can chop them into a million pieces, and the pieces, even Clu Gulager says it best himself, he's like, the pieces will still come after you've chopped them into pieces. But yeah, if you just chop them up into pieces, the arm and the legs and stuff, and will still be moving. It's a creepy idea. It was a very new and cool idea of these zombies that no matter what you did, if you hit them in the brain or not, they're not gonna die. And then they chop it into pieces. They take a hacksaw and hack it to pieces. Put it in a bag. They're gonna go cremate it. They go over to the cremation place. They go over to this place across the street to the graveyard or the cemetery. They go in there and you meet the character who is, I believe, Ernie. I believe his name was Ernie. Yeah, played by Don Calfa, which he in this movie was so funny in his lines and did such a good job. That's what I mean. Like Clu Gulager, James Karen, and Don Calfa, as well as Tom Matthews. You've also got you got other characters like Trash and Scuzz and Suicide and Casey, played by Jewel Shepard, did a good job. Just a very, very fun cast. I mean, this cast is probably some of the best casts in horror films. Probably even in zombie movies, one of the best casts in a zombie movie. And even in horror movies, probably one of the best casts. They just had so much chemistry between one another and so many great lines of dialogue. But I'll get to that in a second. But they bring the body over to the cremation place. Ernie's a little freaked out. They keep telling us rabid weasels, and they're like, "Don't touch a bag. They could bite you." And of course, she's like, "What's going on here, guys?" And they open the bag up, and good practical effects of the arm grabbing Ernie's leg and stuff like that. And then pretty much they take it into the cremation place and they cremate it and burn it to ash. But the problem is that when that smoke rises, it goes all over the graveyard. So in a way, they worsened the problem. They made it even worse because the smoke goes onto the graveyard and the dead rise. And while that's all going on, you've also got a group of these 80s teenagers. You got Freddie, you got Tina, Chuck, Casey. I believe Chuck and Casey. Yeah. You also got Spider, Scuzz, Trash, Suicide. And, you've also got just these fun characters because you got this one guy, I think it was Suicide, where he's got like a chain right here to his lip, and he's like a mohawk and like chains all over his jacket. And he's like, "You know what? This is a way of life." I love that line. He's like, "You think this is a freaking costume? No, this is a way of life." Love that line. It's so funny. And of course, you've also got Linnea Quigley as Trash, who was also in Silent Night, Deadly Night. She's also been in a lot of movies. And most of her career has been her, stripping down. So it was nice to see her strip down in this movie. She's, wow. But you got that classic scene where she's dancing on the grave and stuff like that and stripping down naked. Wow, guys. Wow. But that's all I gotta say is wow about that. Wow. But pretty much these kids, they end up getting thrown into the mix. Freddy ends up being one of the people who set the gas free from that barrel. And you find out that him and Frank are starting to get really sick. And pretty much these kids are thrown into the mix. Zombies start rising out of the grave. Some of the kids get killed. Trash gets killed. Suicide gets killed. Rest of the kids sort of spread apart, go to different places. Some go to the warehouse. Some goes to the graveyard building. And pretty much they have to hold out the night, try to survive the night. They barricade the whole place up. They barricade the place in the cemetery up. They barricade the warehouse all up. And pretty much they barricade everything up. Like I said, they barricade everything up. But they also have to pretty much survive the night. And I'll get more in detail in the story in a second, but that's pretty much the rest of the story. And at the end of the movie, the Frank character commits suicide, doesn't want to turn into a zombie. Freddy turns into a zombie. Tina and I think Ernie go up into the I almost said the cellar. I would have sounded dumb saying that. But they go into the attic, barricade the attic up. Well, you got Clu Gulager. You've also got Spider, played by Michael Nunez Jr., who is also in a lot of movies. He was in Scooby-Doo, Tour of Duty, Lethal Weapon 3, Friday the 13th Part 5, which is my favorite Friday the 13th film. Did a good job as well. He's like, "Let me the freak drive." He's like, "Freak you." And you got Clu Gulager and him in the car. He's like, "Let me drive." Like, "No, freak you, bro." And then and then pretty much the government finds out about what happened because Clu Gulager calls a number on the side of the barrel. They send like a freaking, and this is not a good thing. Like, I hated this part, but they send a freaking nuke in. Literally, they tell them like, "Hey, we're gonna help you guys out. Don't worry." And they just send a freaking nuke in, just blow the place up, and it's just freaking. I hated it though because it was like there was no solution. It was just they drop a nuke. That's it. They don't help them. You know, everybody pretty much dies. Everybody dies, and kind of a downbeat ending. And I heard the Return of the Living Dead Part 2 just going, like, Return of the Living Dead 2 kind of just disregarded the first movie, I think, because you had the same actors back in, or it could be a sequel, but it had some of the same actors back in different roles. I can't remember because I haven't seen Return of the Living Dead 2. But I did hear it was a pretty decent sequel. I actually enjoyed Return of the Living Dead 3. I thought it was actually a well done sequel for the budget it had. You know, Return of the Living Dead 3 is actually really well made. Now, 4 and 5 freaking suck, but the first 3 movies are actually pretty good. But getting into the details of the story, I mean, you got so many scenes in this movie that are just so memorable and classic. You know, you got that scene where they're walking through the warehouse, and Frank is giving Freddy a tour of the warehouse and how things work, and he's going, you know, Freddy's like, "Oh, this is so rad, man," and then the Frank here's like, you know, "Shut up, Freddy, you're learning." And then you get that scene where he's talking on the phone, hangs up, and then Freddy's like, "What's the weirdest thing you've seen in here?" And of course, got that great scene of dialogue. He's like, "The weirdest thing I've ever seen in here has the capital. I've seen so many weird things in here, but the weirdest thing I've seen in here just had the capital." And then he goes, "You know that movie Night of the Living Dead? Well, that was based on a true story." And of course, he doesn't believe. He's like, "The government sent the barrel here. It's called trioxin." He's like, "They kept it quiet." Shh. He was just so fun. It was such a fun performance. And then of course they go downstairs, and of course when they kick the barrel, the zombie gets released, and you get that awesome, awesome makeup effect that just shows me that CGI doesn't have to be the way to go. You know, this movie, The Thing, I'm trying to think of other movies. I don't know, Hatchet, Friday the 13th. They just show you that CGI doesn't have to be the way to go. Because the Tar Man in this, it's because pretty much the zombie gets out of the barrel, he's the Tar Man zombie. And I believe he was played by, let me see if they got it on here. The guy who played him did a good job. I guess he was like a dancer or something like that, or I don't know if he was a dancer, but I do know that he was like super skinny, and they got him because it was Alan Troutman who did a good job. And they got him, and his movements, you know, he looked like he was about to fall apart, like he was about to, like his arm was gonna break off or something like that. Just the way that he moved, just well done. And this just shows that you don't need CGI effects in a movie. You know, a movie like this with practical effects just shows that it doesn't need CGI. You know, and then when it comes out, the face is all decayed and everything is all decayed, it's covered in tar and slime, and then just great practical effects. And the guy who played the Tar Man did a good job because he's like walking like this, almost as about to like his top part of him about to fall off or something like that. Really well done. And of course, in this movie, the zombies eat brains. You got a lot of brains getting eaten. A lot of great lines of dialogue. Like, pretty much the paramedics come in. They're checking Frank and Freddy for the for see what's wrong with them. And they're all pale. So they got their tongues like all yellow. And they're like, you guys are technically speaking dead. And I'm like, well, what do you mean we're dead? And they're like, well, you have no heart rate, you have no pulse. And they're like, what do you mean, man? I'm not dead. And they start freaking out and stuff like that. Funny scene. You got the scene where they're, and also I gotta mention this movie has some really good music to it. I want to buy the soundtrack so bad. You got that song, Surfin' Dead. Yeah, that song. I messed it up, but hang on. I'm trying to get it back and try to sing it again, but I just messed it up. But you got that song. Ah, my favorite. Dun 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 dun. The surfing dead. Ooh, get it right. The surfing dead now, baby. Gonna do the dead now, baby. Do the dead. I'm gonna. I can't remember all the lyrics. I just butchered that song, I know, but it's a fun song. That song, of course, it's party time. Dun, 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 dun. Do you wanna party? Dun, dun, dun. It's party time. Dun, 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 dun. You'll never get the chance. And of course, you got that song. Tonight we make love till we die. There's so many 80s songs that are just so fun to listen to and just so great. And I mean, what more can I say about Return of the Living Dead that hasn't been said? It's an absolute classic. I love this movie. It's a movie that, for lack of better terms, kicks ass. I mean, it's a very well made zombie comedy. And, when it came out, I wonder if it did good, when it came out. Let's see how much it made. The budget was $4 million. Hang on. Yeah, the budget was $4 million. Made about $14 million, so did a pretty decent job. And yeah, so many cool scenes like the zombie picking up the radio and going, "Send more paramedics." And then you got the scene where there's like a freaking zombie with no legs and he's just like hopping like this on the ground. Then of course when Trash turned into a zombie, she sort of had this creepy look on her face and red hair. It was creepy looking zombie. And just so many cool ideas. I mean, so many ideas that were just really cool. Like, when the trioxin tank leaks, you see like there's butterflies in the warehouse or to come back to life, and there's like a split dog and it comes back to life. Really good effect. Lots of cool makeup effects in this movie. And it's definitely gory. You see people getting their brains eaten out. You get that scene where the tar man's like, "More brains." I mean, what else can I say about this movie? It's just so awesome. And if you have not seen Return of the Living Dead yet, you really need to see it. It's so well done and so awesome. What more can I say about Return of the Living Dead? It's badass, and I really enjoy it. I know I usually don't cuss a lot in my reviews, but I gotta say that. What else can I say about this movie? It's bad A, and I think it's a well-made movie. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching my review on Return of the Living Dead, the original. And thanks for watching episode 1 of The Week of the Dead. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching the review, and I will see you guys on the next review. Bye, guys.